Okay, this video is going to review how to add tile backsplashes to your kitchen. You're going to need that basically to protect the walls from all the water and the humidity and just kind of like grime that happens in the kitchen. Before we do that, I'm going to also place my faucet because I realized we didn't do that in the last video about kitchen counters. So this is my little faucet right here. I'm going to just kind of grab it with the move tool, drag it over here. Kind of pretty sure I'm on the surface there. Let me pivot around and see I'm not floating. Okay. So again, in this case, this guy would probably be a little bit more centered than that. So I'm going to kind of eyeball it in this way. The other thing is this one from Kohler does not look like it has a metal finish on it. I might go back and change the metal of this sink, but I can use that so I can get my materials, my little paint bucket right there. And then I'm going to get the select tool and I'm going to select the metal that's there. So it's basically just silver, and then paint the Kohler one and see how I can paint the whole thing. I'm not actually thrilled with this, so I might come back and jazz this up a little bit, maybe make this like an antique brass or something. But for now, I'm going to leave it like that just so you can see how we do it. Now, the next thing you need to do to sort of make your life easier to math out where your kitchen backsplash is going to be is you want to put your kitchen cabinets all in the same tag. So I'm going to review how to add a tag. So you go here to the tag one. Again, if you're on a Mac, it's going to be one of the windows you're going to have to open up to have this as a pop-up. So we're going to add this, and I'm just going to basically say cabinets. This is also usually called casework, so you can call it cabinets or casework. Oh, wait, I must already have a name there. So let me go back and check. I probably started this video at another point. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm going to show you quickly how to put a few on. So if I hit Control, and I'm kind of selecting multiple ones there. So I'm getting all the upper ones. I'm going to get this guy too for now. They're actually already on cabinet. So yeah, so I actually kind of thought ahead and did this. And I think, do you have most of them on this layer? Awesome. Okay. So if you don't have that, take your time to do that. But what you do is you're going to check up here under entity and you're going to make sure it's on the cabinet layer. So now in my case, I'm going to turn them all off. I'm probably going to put this guy and these countertops also on the cabinet layer just so I can kind of get it blank there for me. And the sink and the faucet, kind of keep them all together. So okay, going to the cabinet layer. Now the math that we're going to use again is we're going to start from the floor. We're going to go up 3 feet. That's where our counter starts. Then we're going to go up another 18 inches. So that's basically the only kind of swatch that we're going to have of backsplash tile. Over here, though, I do have a stove. So I'm going to go up 18 inches here. And oops, wait, no, I'm sorry, 3 feet. So we're going to click on the bottom here, pull it up. That's going to be 3 feet. Then this is going to be the 18 inches. So I'm going to put one at 18 inches for now, but then I'm going to come back in and probably like add more on the wall here. So right now, the easiest way to do this is basically just take a square. So I'm going to kind of draw it there. I'm going to turn my cabinets back on just to see where that one ends. So what I'm going to do now is pivot around and I'm going to add a line to right here, basically. So I'm going to pull it off from this corner here. I'm going to pull it all the way over and I'm going to stop right there. Okay. So if I turn my cabinets back off, now that's the rectangle I want. And notice I have my window. So instead I'm going to, and I need to still put in my window, my molding, but that'll be fine because it'll kind of go over it. So I'm just going to draw on this line now. Kind of bring it down, bring it over. And notice as I drew that line went from bold to thinner. That's a good sign. That means I was drawing on the plane of that wall, like the geometry of that. So now I have these two kind of swaths. This is where I'm going to paint in my tile. Now, one of the things I might do too is I'm going to turn on the cabinets again, show you this is the section where I actually might do a different tile. I have some crazy ones planned just to kind of look at it. So, oops, hold on, it's saving again. Okay, so I turned this layer back on because I want to see kind of where the edge is right here. So I'm going to pull the line from this wall over, stop it about there. Then I'm going to pull this one over here and stop it right here. I'm going to turn off the cabinets again. And now what my plan is to have this block right here be a different tile to kind of just play with what's happening behind the stove. So basically I took a rectangle and I drew from that point down to here. So now I actually have 2 planes, but I'm going to take this line out. So I'm going to delete that. So I have one block here, one here, one here, and one here. So this lower section is all going to be one tile, and then I'm going to do another tile down the middle here just as something more decorative. Before I get going on painting that in, I'm just going to kind of delete out, excuse me, all these kind of like extra lines just so I'm not too distracted of what I'm doing here. All right. So now what happened is, let me kind of show you where I got some more tiles from. Here, okay. So I went over to architectures.org. This was the one I talked about in the other video that just has kind of more interior design oriented textures. So here in the kind of basically drop down menu, I picked tile. And there was a lot of really nice choices. So you can kind of scroll through and find them. I found I was going to play with this just to see how crazy this is. And then farther down, there was another like more neutral green. So again, picking some very bright things just so you can see it really easily. So I already have them loaded, but I need to make them as a new material now. So remember, we want to go back over now to tile. And in my case, I'm going to pick probably something that's a little shiny like this guy here, the green. So this is a glass tile. Actually, you know what? I don't quite want glass tiles. Let me see. There's all glass. I want something that's not super matte, but maybe has a little bit of shine. Let's see. Carrera. That's what this guy is. Is this glass? Limestone large. You know what? Maybe we'll go with the glass. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one as like my base because I realize my tile is kind of shiny and not matte. So I'm going to click on the box with the plus sign. And now I'm going to make, I'll just call that one mermaid tile because it kind of looked like that's a mermaid tile. And I'm going to get the picture of that. And that should be right there in my downloads because I was a little lazy about it. So there it is there. So I say, okay. Don't know the scale of how this is going to work yet, but we're going to say, okay. And then we're going to paint it in right in this block right here. So it's going to save again for a few minutes. So there it is now, ready to go. So paint it in. It looks a little small to me, so I'm gonna change the scale of that. So we go over to edit. I'm gonna say, like, let's see, 18 inches maybe there. Let's see what that does. That made it a little bit bigger. Okay, that's kind of fun. Again, a little loud, but I'm playing with some samples just to see what it looks like. Now, the next thing I had down here was kind of a like vertical stacked tile. So I can use this again as my base. So I'm gonna click on this. And now I'm going to call this new material just like vertical green. And then go to this little folder here to pick my new image, which is this one right here. And I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to say, okay. Again, I might change the scale later. So I'm painting it in here for the backsplash. So far that looks pretty good. And I also like notice how it fit almost exact in here. Well, a little bit, kind of cuts it off there. So I might actually go ahead and make this guy a little bit bigger. So right now it's 18 inches. I'm going to make it 24. What I'm trying to do is get it to line up. See how it's cut right there? So one of the tricks now we do with textures is you click on it, you right click, and you say texture position. So now I can actually move this image up and down. You can see how I can kind of shimmy it so it looks centered, kind of move over the line so the grout lines line up. The thing is, though, if I also make it just a little bit smaller than 2 feet, that might also work. So let's try 20 inches. See how that works. Oops, went to 2 inches by mistake. 20 inches. All right, so let's do that again. So texture, position, shimmying around. Oh, that's almost perfect. We're so close. 21's looking pretty good. So if I move it around, do texture, position, that's almost just there. Okay. All right, I'm gonna leave it for now because again, it's pretty darn close. I am gonna move it left and right a little bit just so we have. Oh, you know, I'm gonna be such a perfectionist. Let's do 22. Let's see if that works finally. Okay, that's finally got me what I want. So it's exactly 22 inches and it lines up nicely in the corner. And what you can do is though, you can kind of shimmy around each plane here. So this one here, see how I'm just like nudging it a little bit to the right so the grout lines line up. This one looks pretty good on the right and actually it kind of ends, well, it's kind of the vertical is not quite right. So let's pull that down. So notice, like I said, that they're kind of working independently. All right, I want to pull this one over here. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's my tile backsplash. Now, one of the things too is this is going to have some thickness to it because in reality, obviously our tiles stick on our wall and have some thickness. So you want to pull these out like 1/4 of an inch, so it's 0.25 inches, just to give it a little bit of depth. You can also bring it out maybe a 1/2 inch, but most tiles are going to be 0.25 will kind of get you like just that little visual look of depth. So 0.25. And we'll kind of check how it looks with the window later on. So let me turn my cabinets back on so we can see what that looks like. So I go down to my tags, I click on the little eyeball, and that's looking pretty good. This may be a little bit too much visually. So again, the easiest way to fix that is I can then take my paint bucket, and it's already queued up to have those stacked tiles. I just paint them in there. And then I can kind of check the math of them, see how they're looking. They're looking pretty good. And so the kind of the edit line, well, oh, no, I'm gonna fuss with them just one more time. So we're gonna bring them down just a little bit like this, kind of line them up with their neighbors. Let's see, we got it. Yep. Okay. Now, the other trick to kind of get rid of these lines is I can actually just delete it. So we can do delete. Oh, wait, no, that's not going to help. Oh, you know what? Because we pulled this guy out flat. So this guy is still flat. So let's pull this out to the 1/4 inch. See how it pulled out? All right. See now that the line is like, see, light. So I can hit delete. I can hit delete, and then they're all kind of on the same plane, but it's basically still a T shape. So if I go like this, you can see that there's my tile there. And that looks pretty nice. So what'll happen is when I put my hood in here, it's going to come down here, and this will kind of be like a visual element that just, livens up the room a bit. Some of the students we're talking to in class, like, you might want to finish this part off with cabinets that can go to the ceiling. So you'd have little like 12-foot-inch high cabinets. Yep, I got a foot. Yep, so 12 inches. Sometimes what people do is fill this with a soffit, meaning they basically build a box that kind of sits on top of this, like it's just empty space. It's up to you kind of how you want to play with that at this stage. So these are, again, some of the more finishing touches to get your kitchen looking more realistic, obviously. And this is going to be part of your career, is picking this stuff aesthetically, the finishes, the tile, the countertop, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be working on this in class more Thursday, but if you get to it for homework before then, great, you'll be ahead of the game. And then we're also going to work on, in class Thursday, putting in base molding too. All right. Hope this helps. And again, see you in class, and always happy to help you troubleshoot this stuff too.